Making headlines this hour. Minister of Housing and Infrastructure says work to transform the Equatorial Convention Center in Addu City into a hospital will begin this month. Statistics shows the number of cases reported to Maldives police services in 2016 decreased compared to the year before. And political analysis says the ceasefire agreement between the Syrian government and oppositions remains fragile but won't fall apart, although the sporadic crossfires are still reported in Syria.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to News in English on TVM with me, Hafiz Abdusattar. And now the news in detail. Minister of Housing and Infrastructure Dr. Mohammad Moiz says the project to convert the Equatorial Convention Center ECC in Addu City to a hospital will begin this month. He said they are now vacating the building before handing it over to the contractor. The Housing Ministry has assigned Elia Construction to transform ECC into a 100-bed hospital. The 161 million rupiah project is funded by the Saudi Fund for Development and the OPEC Fund for International Development, OFID. ECC, located in Hitadu Island of Addu City, was specially built for the 17th SAARC Summit, which was held in November 2011 in Addu City and nearby Formula City. Maldives Police Service MPS says driving licenses of over 7,400 people were seized for traffic violations in 2016. Police also said over 11,000 people were detained for driving without a license. Statistics show that over 10,000 individuals obtained driving licenses in both 2015 and 2016. According to police, over 6,000 vehicles were towed for traffic and parking violations in 2016, while over 52,000 parking tickets were issued during the year. MPS also said that 173 impounded vehicles were destroyed in accordance with relevant regulations after owners failed to reclaim them within the given period. Statistics show the number of cases reported to Maldives Police Service in 2016 decreased compared to the year before. A total of 13,729 cases were reported to Maldives Police Service between January and December of 2015, while 13,568 cases were reported during the same period in 2016. Reported instances of assault, theft, domestic violence, vandalism, sexual offences and embezzlement have decreased during 2016 compared to the previous year. 778 cases of assault, 3,616 cases of theft, 466 cases of sexual offences, 304 cases of domestic violence, 356 cases of vandalism and 521 cases of embezzlement were reported during the year 2016, while 932 cases of assault, 3,994 cases of theft, 534 cases of sexual offences, 341 cases of domestic violence, 535 cases of vandalism and 243 cases of embezzlement were reported in 2015. Although some cases reported have seen a decrease in number, cases of robbery, drugs, traffic violations, counterfeit and forgery and bounced checks reported in 2016 increased compared to 2015. 545 cases of robbery, 2,079 cases of drugs, 2,044 cases of traffic violation, 91 cases of counterfeit and forgery and 179 cases of bounce checks were filed in 2015, while 716 cases of robbery, 3,378 cases of drugs, 2,242 cases of traffic violations, 97 cases of counterfeit and forgery and 265 cases of bounce checks were submitted in the year 2016. Statistics show that cases filed at the drug court increased in 2016 compared to the year before. While 1,525 cases were filed with the court last year, only 914 cases were filed in 2015. According to the drug court, 4 cases were filed by the National Drug Agency, while the rest of the cases were filed by the Prosecutor General's office. The court concluded 965 cases last year, with each of the 5 judges presiding over an average of 305 cases. The Island Council of Kudahuadu says work on the runway of Kudahuadu Airport will begin soon. The development of the domestic airport in Kudahuadu was contracted to Riolo Investment Private Limited. According to the council, work on the airport's terminal and the administration block is also nearing completion. The airport also consists of a private jet parking area and restaurant facilities. Riolo Investment began the $20 million project in 2014 and has reclaimed 72 hectares of land to build the airport. The Island Council of Diddu says the boatyard being built in the island will become operational in March this year. The project was contracted to Maldives Transport and Contracting Company (MTCC) in September 2016. The boatyard is built on the southern side of Diddu Island. MTCC will also develop a 90-meter beaching area and a 90-meter breakwater under the 13.7 million rupiah project. In business, we have data released by China Federation of Logistics and Purchasing show the country's logistics prosperity index LPI in December dropped by 3.3% to 56. The warehousing index posted 52.7 in December, 1.8 percentages lower than November. In addition, the employment index of logistics industry in December dropped by 3.7 percentages to 51.1. The downtrend of the indices suggests that the growth of logistics activities decelerated as the new year was approaching. Experts say the drop in the readings was a normal fall because of seasonal factors, and the entire business is still active in general. Seen from the entire year of 2016, the average LPI was 55.2, 0.1 percentages lower than that in 2015. The LPI of the second half year was higher than that of the first half year, indicating the logistics industry maintained a steady and healthy development in the new normal economic stage. The SFLP began collecting LPI data from more than 300 logistics companies in December 2015. Since then, the index has stayed above 50%. Starting on the first day of 2017, purchase taxes in China on cars with engine displacement of 1.6 liters or lower go up to 7.5% of the purchase price, 2.5 percentage points up from the 5% in 2016. An average car in this category cost about 100,000 yuan or around $14,403, which means Chinese car buyers will now have to pay some 2,500 yuan or around $360 more in taxes than that in 2016. Consumer reactions were mixed. Car retailers say government policies in the past helped low-emission vehicles to become more popular, but at the same time, Chinese car shoppers are becoming more realistic, so the car sales will not be changed significantly by the new tax policy. Industry analysts say low-emission vehicles will remain a driving force for business in 2017, but note that China's auto sales overall will find it difficult to maintain the high growth rates of the past. Post-monsoon dry spell in Indian Kashmir, the longest in 4 decades, has set off alarm bells in the northernmost state, with authorities worried about a possible water shortage. The impact of the dry spell is most evident in River Jhelum, with its water levels plummeting to the lowest in 60 years. Most boats stood anchored at the banks of a water level was too low for navigation. Kashmir is currently going through its 40-day period of harshest winter. Temperatures dip to sub-zero levels during this time, and the blanket of thick snow covers the state. However, this year the valley has barely received any snow. The low water levels in Jhelum has also affected power generation and drinking water supply. The Indian Meteorological Department has predicted some rain or light snow for the state next week. Visibility is low in cities in northeastern China, with both pollution and weather in the depth of a winter responsible. Despite a brief respite on Monday, smog returned to the Beijing on Tuesday with 2.5 p.m. readings against the hazardous level. The City Environment Bureau said the orange alert was expected to last until Wednesday. Pollution alerts are common in northern China, especially during bitterly cold winters when energy demand, much of it met by coal source. An orange alert was also in place in Tianjin on Tuesday. China's National Meteorological Center, meanwhile, issued a red alert for fog at 6 a.m. on Tuesday in northern and central parts of the whole country until 8 a.m. on Wednesday, with the lowest visibility below 50 meters in some areas. China's state television CCTV reported that highways in Tianjin have been shut due to the low visibility from smog and fog. It said dense fog was also responsible for the closure of some highways in Hebei province. The South Korean Constitutional Court begins the first official hearing for President Park Geun-hye's impeachment case over the political scandal. Park was indicted in a December 9th parliamentary vote by a wider than expected margin after being accused of colluding with a friend to pressure big businesses to make contributions to non-profit foundations backing presidential initiatives. Park's fate is in the hands of Constitutional Court judges, who have up to 180 days to uphold the impeachment or reinstate her. Seoul Yonhap news agency said the court closed the session 9 minutes after it began, citing Park's absence. The first argument was postponed to the second hearing, due to be held on Thursday. Park met domestic media reporters on Sunday in the first public event since her impeachment by Parliament on December 9th. She denied allegations of wrongdoing in a political scandal that threatens her presidency, saying the accusations against her was fabricated and a falsehood. Political analysts say the ceasefire agreement between the Syrian government and opposition is fragile but won't fall apart, although sporadic. The Syrian government and opposition on Friday reached a ceasefire agreement as peace talks brokered by Turkey and Russia are due in Kazakhstan in January in an attempt to find a final end to the conflict. The Wadi Barada in Damascus' western suburbs now has become a hot area for intensive fighting. Syrian forces continued their fighting there as they claimed that the area is a stronghold of the terrorist organization Al-Nusra Front, and the opposition said it's a Syrian government that violates the agreement. But political analysts said the warfare in Wadi Barada won't have an obvious impact on the ceasefire agreement, but it will matter a lot for several million Damascus residents as the area works as a water source. Former Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Guterres replaced Ban Ki-moon as the United Nations Secretary General on January 1st. Antonio Guterres was Portugal's Prime Minister from 1995 to 2002 and UN High Commissioner for Refugees from 2005 to 2015. He is Portugal's most internationally renowned politician who has tackled crises from East Timor in the 1990s to the present-day migrant crisis in Europe. Long before his most high-profile global position as the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, which he occupied for 2 terms between the 2005 and 2015, with one extension, he served as Portugal's Socialist Prime Minister. His first administration remains the only minority government in Portugal's modern history to have survived a full 4-year term. During the selection process for the next UN Secretary General, he said the UN chief must be a convener, a facilitator, an honest broker, a bridge builder, as he called for a surge in diplomacy for peace to prevent conflicts and crises rather than tackle their consequences. 67-year-old Guterres was called his stint as the head of the Geneva-based UNHCR, the world's main refugee agency, an extraordinary privilege but a terrible frustration because there was no humanitarian solution for their plight. During his time there, the volume of activities undertaken by the UNHCR tripled following the introduction of a needs-based budgeting approach to address an increase in the number of people displaced by conflict and persecution from 38 million in 2005 to over 60 million in 2015. Guterres is a trained engineer who speaks English, French and Spanish in addition to his native Portuguese. His first wife and the mother of their 2 children died in 1998. He remarried in 2001. Guterres is set to become the 9th UN chief since the organization was founded in 1946. Traffic movement is thrown out of gear, rail and flight operations disrupted, and residents struggle to carry on with their morning routines amid biting cold as parts of northern India were engulfed by thick fog. Reduced visibility led to the delay of 55 trains, rescheduling of 22 and cancellation of 6 at New Delhi railway station. Clueless about the arrival of their trains, some passengers but left with no choice but to spend the night at the station amid teeth-chattering cold. Flight operations at New Delhi's Indira Gandhi International IGI airport were also hit. At least 6 domestic and 7 international flights were delayed, while 2 domestic flights were cancelled. Meanwhile, drivers in Gorakhpur city of Uttar Pradesh state were forced to switch on the headlights of their vehicles as visibility dropped to barely a few meters. In sports, we have British media report that Paul Clement will become a Premier League strugglers, Swansea City's third manager of the season, and will be officially unveiled on Wednesday. The Bayern Munich assistant manager will replace American Bob Bradley, who was sacked by Welsh club last month, having taken over from Francis in October. There was no immediate word from Swansea, but Sky Sports and the BBC said Clement had agreed a 2.5-year deal. Swansea are bottom of the table with a dreadful run of form and face fellow strugglers Crystal Palace on Tuesday, when caretaker manager Alan Curtis will take charge of the team. Clement was a formerly assistant manager at Chelsea and Real Madrid and was in charge of Derby County for 8 months before he was sacked by the Championship club in February last year. Switzerland beat Britain in the Hopman Cup with a clean sweep of victories in Perth, Australia. Roger Federer returned from injury and marked his comeback with a straight sets 6-3, 6-4 victory over Dan Evans. Teenager Belinda Bencic then followed up with a hard-fought 7-5, 3-6, 6-2 defeat of Heather Watson, giving the Swiss a 2-0 lead. The mixed doubles then saw Bencic and Federer race to a convincing 4-0, 4-1 win over Watson and Evans to round out a perfect day for Switzerland. Roger Federer showed no signs of rust in his first competitive match for 6 months when he outclassed Dan Evans 6-3, 6-4 at the Hopman Cup on Monday. The 17 times Grand Slam winner underwent a knee surgery in February and, after missing the French Open with a back injury, announced in July that he needed extensive rehabilitation and would be sidelined for the rest of the season. Federer walked out to a standing ovation from more than 13,500 fans at the Perth Arena and breezed to an easy win over Evans, putting Switzerland 1-0 ahead in their match against Britain in the mixed team event. Before summing up, we'll look at the light news. Awards season starts up on the second day of 2017 in California with the 28th Palm Springs International Film Festival opening. The festival began with a star-studded awards show, and most of the faces from awards season turn out on the red carpet before going in and accepting their awards. Most of the stars, which included Tom Hanks, Amy Adams, Nicole Kidman, Ryan Gosling and Natalie Portman, were all award winners in one way or another. Hanks won the Icon Award, Adams the Chairman's Award, Gosling was offered the Vanguard Award alongside his La La Land team, and Portman won the Desert Palm Achievement Award for an actress. Kidman was presented her award by her Lion co-star Dev Patel, who has experienced awards season previously with the previous Best Picture Slumdog Millionaire.
A really humbling experience, because what you do is you collide with so much talent from so many other films and around the world, and you get to exchange stories. You know, you're in a fishbowl with some really interesting people, and that's been the most nourishing part for me, is meeting these really amazing people that I look up to and having the chance to say I'm a fan, and to just exchange compliments on the work that has been done this year.
Annette Bening, who arrived with her actor husband Warren Beatty, received the Career Achievement Award.
Well, it's just beginning to hit me. It's wonderful. It's a good thing. It's encouraging, and I love the craft. I love what I get to do. I feel very lucky to be an actress and that I've been able to have a career. I mean, it's what I really aspired to, so I'm very excited.
Bening was first nominated for an Oscar in 1991 for the film The Grifters, but said things have changed a lot over the years during the season.
Well, it certainly has since I've been around. Yeah, it's just gotten bigger and more people and more shows and more photographers, and just bigger and larger every year, for sure.
Awards season is known to help smaller independent films with more niche subject matter get bigger audiences. Jeff Nichols, who directed the acclaimed Loving, experienced the effect that this focus has had on the film.
I mean, it's huge. Right now our box office is kind of plateaued. It's kind of the people that were going to see it kind of saw it, and now there's this second audience that we need to speak to. Maybe people that didn't know about their story or didn't rush out to the theaters after they saw the trailer. Maybe if we repeat the name over and over again to them, they'll finally say, okay, well maybe I'm going to go buy a ticket and go see that.
The next stop in awards season is the Golden Globes, which take place on Sunday, January 8th. And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant night ahead.